JetBlue is looking to swoop in and buy Spirit Airlines, and in the process, push out Frontier. Let's talk more about this transaction with Conor Cunningham, an analyst at MKM Partners. Conor, good to see you here this morning. What do you think? Do you think that JetBlue has any chance of actually getting Spirit past regulators?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. First off. There's going to be some regulatory pushback on this transaction. JetBlue, prior to going after Spirit, was doing a Northeast alliance with American Airlines that was already under DOJ scrutiny. I think they're set to go to trial in September. So there were some concerns prior to that in the Northeast, and so now you layer on Spirit Airlines, which would create a very large airline in Florida. Specifically, both have hubs in Fort Lauderdale. Their market share will go to about 50%, give or take. The reality is that they're probably going to try to sell the transaction as more of a South Florida situation. So if you include Miami, the overlap isn't so bad in that sense. Regardless, the government has had a fair bit of buyer's remorse on all the airline transactions over the years. So this will definitely go through the ringer for sure. The Frontier proposal was going to go through the ringer as well. So, obviously JetBlue is a much larger carrier than Frontier. So there's definitely going to be some pushback going forward for sure.
So, Conor, forget about the regulatory stuff for a moment. I mean, the title of your note caught our eye because it said, wait, what? Because this was unexpected, right? Clearly. Yeah. So setting regulatory aside, from a strategic point of view, does this make sense? And does it make more sense than a Frontier Spirit transaction?
Yeah, I mean, great question. The reality, so JetBlue is a tweener airline. They have products all up and down the rung. So from first class offerings in the Mint to all the way down to basic economy. So, Spirit, on the other hand, is this high density airline that's all about focusing on the price sensitive leisure traveler. They all focus on the same person ultimately at the end of the day when you're focused on leisure. So from that perspective, sure, it makes sense. But what I struggle with the most is that, JetBlue is going to have to pull seats off Spirit's aircraft. So we're talking about reducing the current seat count at Spirit right now by about 10 to 11% right out the gate. And so, that's going to be a very expensive process. Management didn't want to quantify what that's going to cost them over the long term, but it's going to be pricey. And so there's going to be a huge retrofit situation going on. So basically, at the end of the day, JetBlue is going to bring the cost structure of Spirit up to its own core cost right now. So you've basically eliminated the ultra low cost component of the entire transaction. Does it make sense? Doesn't make a ton of sense. I haven't talked to a single person that thought it made a lot of sense. And so Frontier and Spirit, on the other hand, are incredibly complementary. Frontier is, this West Coast airline. Spirit is an East Coast focused one. Basically the same model, ultimately at the end of the day. And so, that transaction made a lot more sense from our seat. We just struggle with the overall dynamics on the cost side for JetBlue. That again, you're removing what makes Spirit in its ultra low cost price point. So we will see. I think that it makes ultimately more sense for Spirit to combine with Frontier than it does with JetBlue.
Conor, I encourage Spirit to get rid of those seats, pull them out. They're thin and they're uncomfortable. Let's just be real here. We all know it. We all continue to dance around it. Pull those seats out. But I will ask you this. As this takeover battle unfolds, what are the folks at Delta and United Airlines doing? Is this a great time for them to put pressure on these companies, maybe cut ticket prices, gain more market share, and really stick it to them?
I get the question. The thing is that we're finally back to a demand picture where so we went through hell and back on the pandemic, and now we're finally out of it. And people want to get out and travel again. I mean, I don't know if you guys have tried to book travel over the last couple of weeks. It's quite expensive. Demand is back. The airlines are pushing price. Even in that context, a lot of airlines are still losing money. So I don't know if it's smart in the near term to go out and try to cut price. It just doesn't make sense from that perspective. You're trying to drive profits over the long run. And you need to start generating cash again. You can't continue to lose. So it doesn't seem like they're going to go out and put a cut price ultimately. I mean, it doesn't fill up the aircraft anymore. They're already incredibly full, even at higher price points. So in the near term, I don't expect that to happen. I'm sure everyone that wants to travel for the summer would love to see lower fares, but the reality is they're going to be higher. So if you haven't booked, again, now's the time. They're only going to get more expensive.
Well, I want to pick up on that because I have tried to book travel in the past couple of weeks, and it's terrible, Conor. I've got my price alert set on my phone, to try to monitor whether the prices are going to alleviate. You do tend to get a little bit of fluctuation, right? But where is the light at the end of the tunnel on that front? If people are getting back out there and traveling, do we have to wait for after the summer, after the fall, after 2022? When are we going to see a slowdown in those increases?
Yeah, deals. I know that everyone's on the deal hunt, and so I would suggest looking at your off-peak days, your Tuesdays, and your Saturdays. If you can be flexible, there still are opportunities to travel for cheap. And so, the reality right now is that demand surged back. No one's going to go. You just spent 2 years at home. You're not. It seems unlikely that you're going to go buy another dishwasher right now. So you're probably going to go spend your money on travel. And so the reality is that people want to get out and about. That this was taken away from them for a very long period of time. And so, does it get cheaper in the near term? Probably not. Again, it's going to get more expensive. But there are deals to be had if you're willing to be flexible. Right now, the real issue from the airlines is that they all want to get back to 2019 capacity levels, but they're really struggling to get there from a hiring perspective. So, everyone's talked about just a hiring crunch in general. That is even more acute when you start to think about pilots and so on. You look at the regional airlines, the SkyWest, the Mesas of the world, they've really struggled to fill their own operations themselves. And that's generally where a lot of the pilots come to the mainline carriers. So until the hiring dynamic kind of improves, we're going to have some tight capacity in the near term. It's good. There's a good and bad side to it. It's good for pricing, kind of bad for the overall margin structure, given the fact that the costs haven't been able to be rationalized over a wider base of capacity. So, again, if you're willing to be flexible on travel, you can do it on Tuesday and Saturday. Those are your non-peak days. Tends to be a lot less travel and opportunities to fly for cheaper fares.
Well, Conor, you may not realize it, but you're about to go viral on the Yahoo.com homepage with 3 tips to save money on airfare tickets. We'll leave it there. Conor Cunningham, analyst at MKM Partners. Good to see you.